Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you all.
Good to see you, Rabbi, looking as good as ever.
Thank you.
I can't see you.
Well, where are we? Put us up here.
Yeah, well, I stopped the video, so there we go.
Here we are.
We are not hearing the cantor. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Bruchim Habaim. Welcome. That Hebrew phrase, Bruchim Habaim, literally says, blessed are those who come here. And we should indeed feel blessed as we come here. We've been told this week that if we're vaccinated, we can begin to take off our masks. We've been told it's safe to begin vaccinating our children. On Sunday, we're going to celebrate and receive Torah with the celebration of Shavuot. And of course, in this moment, we are entering Shabbat. There is lots to be blessed for, to feel blessed for as we come here together. But the events in our beloved Israel over this week also have many of us feeling a little less so as we worry for family and friends, as we pray for those on both sides who desire nothing more than to live their lives in peace. And so we come to this moment of blessing here in the West with our hearts turned with trepidation towards the East. We feel a mixture of emotions in this moment. I hope that as we begin this Shabbat, begin this evening, that we can begin with the grateful acknowledgement of each other's presence. For here, together, in this moment, we find friendship and love and support and shelter and comfort. As we enter Shabbat, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just take a breath. A big breath in and then let it out. A calming breath as we welcome this sacred day by welcoming our bat mitzvah of tomorrow, Kayla Ring, who will light our Shabbat candles for us, the symbol of God's light in our lives, the light of hope, the light of well-being, the light of love. Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you. Garu. Kendra Shapiro.
Baruch atah
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechad likner shel Shabbat, lechad likner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We're delighted to welcome Enid Friedman, representing our sisterhood and our congregation, who, Kayla, as you begin your bat mitzvah weekend, has some special presentations to make. So Enid, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to do this. Okay, Mazel Tov, Kayla, on reaching such an important milestone for you and your family. You certainly will have stories to tell about having a bat mitzvah during a pandemic. I know this weekend is the culmination of many years of studying and learning as you join your ancestors in becoming a bat mitzvah. I want to mention that for your mitzvah project, you are sewing masks for the LA Works Million Mask Challenge. You sewed masks for Aviva Family and Children's Services. We are so very proud of you for doing this. Sisterhood would like to give you the Kiddush cup you are using tonight as a gift. Your synagogue family would like to give you the candlesticks and the Tanakh. May you have wonderful memories from this week and find fulfillment in continued studies of your Jewish heritage. Mazel Tov.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Enid.
You're welcome.
And Kayla, we will hear from you in just a little bit. Right now, we're going to turn to the words that we have been singing since they were first put together and written in the 16th century in Sfat, 17th century in Sfat, and invite you to join with them and join with communities around the world, literally, as we welcome Shabbat together with Lecha Dodi.
Sabbath bride in your own home. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula.
If you are standing, I invite you to remain so as we turn towards the Baruch Hu. If you are not standing and are able and would like to, please feel free to rise and join with us. It takes two to speak truth, one to speak and one to hear, said Thoreau. I need to listen well when others speak, even when their truth is hard to swallow. It may be good medicine. Help me to listen well, for it is said God's seal is truth. We are asked with Shema to participate in one part of that dynamic of communication, to listen. And if we listen well, we are able to hear the words that we say at the very end of the Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohechem Emet. Let's join together now in the Shema. If you would like, again, and are able, I invite you to rise if you would like.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta, with Kayla leading us in the Ve'ahavta.
Oops, sorry. Okay. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובבתך בדרך. שלחתך וקנך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם מלכים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah could be an inward thing. No one ever told me a change of heart might be as quiet as the new fallen snow. No one ever told me that redemption was as simple as springtime and as wonderful as birds returning after a long winter, rose-breasted grosbeaks singing in the swaying branches of a newly budded tree. No one ever told me that salvation might be like a fresh spring wind blowing away the dried, withered leaves of another year, carrying the scent of flowers, the promise of fruition. What I found for myself, I try to tell you. Redemption and salvation are very near, and the taste of them is in the world that God created and laid before us. As we consider redemption, let us turn to our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha.
Adonai
We turn now to the Amidah, the tefillah, the central prayer of our worship, through which we have the opportunity to express the deepest thoughts, expressions of gratitude, and hopes of our own hearts. Of course, we have the opportunity to, in a moment, to join together or to join individually in our own tefillat halev, the prayers and reflections of our own hearts. As we turn now to the Amidah, I invite you, if you would like and are able, once again, to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופאים חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ואמן אתה לכחות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I invite you to take a moment now for your own tefillat halev, the prayers and meditations of your own hearts. And when you are prepared to do so, please feel free to be seated. We turn now to words of healing. As we do so, we call to mind those we hold dear, those whose names we know, who we hold in our own heart in need of our prayers of healing of body, of mind, and spirit. And we join them with those whose names we don't know, also in need of healing in this difficult moment. And of course, as we turn our thoughts to all those in need of healing this Shabbat, we call to mind as well those who have been wounded in the ongoing violence in Israel, those physically wounded, and those who have been emotionally scarred by the wail of sirens and the sound of rockets that fill the air around them. For all of them, we pray for a refuah shlema, a full and complete healing, and a return to the quiet wholeness of shalom. As we always do, we invite you, as some of you have begun to do, to place the names of those for whom you are praying this Shabbat into our chat, or if you would like to unmute yourself and to share their names with us before we join together in these words of healing.
Josh Mills, Cindy Lederer, Roz and Sandy Weissman, Margaret Feinstein and family, Fred Block, all of Israel.
This week, we open a new book in our annual journey through the Torah as we read the first chapters of the book of Numbers, or in Hebrew, Bamidbar, literally in the wilderness, which is an apt description of this book, as the Sinai wilderness is the setting for all that happens in this book of the Torah. As the book begins, the Mishkan, or the tent of meeting, has been completed. Both sets of tablets, those that are the remains of the first set, which Moses smashed to the ground, and the whole second set, are packed up in their traveling arks, and the Israelites are ready to turn from Mount Sinai and begin their journey towards the land of milk and honey, the promised land. They are as of yet unaware of how exceptionally long this journey will take. As far as all concerned know, at this point, it's just a short little hike across the wilderness Yet to happen are those acts that will turn this brief journey into a 40-year generational trek. Of course, like so much in the Torah, this story is also a metaphor for our lives, which are filled with journeys across the wilderness, from those moments of insight and revelation, from dreams and visions of the future toward the land of promise that those moments reveal for us. Kayla is completing one such journey this Shabbat. I dare say she has long envisioned arriving at the border of this bat mitzvah promised land, which she will enter tomorrow as she leads us in worship and for the first time joins the ranks of those who we call our teachers of Torah. Similarly, for each of us, there are promised lands, small and large, some of which we joyfully enter after a brief journey, and some of which, even after the trek of a lifetime, remain only a dream, calling us toward them, motivating and inspiring our continuing journey, even though, like Moses, we know that all we may ever achieve is a glimpse of that promised land from afar. Whether it be short or long, physical or spiritual, actual or metaphoric, all journeys we know require proper preparation. If we do not prepare appropriately for the journey may soon become miserable and difficult. If we do not plan our route, we may wander aimlessly and never reach our goal. And so it shouldn't be surprising that the book of Numbers commences with a description of the Israelites' preparation for their journey, making sure everyone and everything is in its proper place. This begins with the taking of attendance in each tribe, making sure that everyone is present and accounted for. 46 tedious verses, some of which Kayla will share with us tomorrow, count in detail the 603,550 men of military age that will start the journey from Sinai to Eretz Yisrael. This elaborate report of the population of each tribe is followed with equally detailed direction as to the placement of each group within the camp. In particular, their location in relation to that tent of meeting, that place located at the very center of the camp where the community will come to encounter God. Each tribe, each family, each individual is told their place in relation to the tent, their place in relation to Torah and in relation to God. Why all this tedious detail? Why is it necessary? So much of it is incredibly repetitive. Our sages tell us it is to convey a core truth of Jewish ethics and perspective. Each individual counts. Each of us counts, not as part of a larger whole, but uniquely as ourselves. A Talmudic midrash notes that when a person stamps a coin, each one of them is identical, but not so each human being. When God stamps out human beings, each, of course, in the image of God, not one of them is similar to the other. God, the sages teach, does not see humanity as a whole, but rather takes account of each of us as individuals. God, we are meant to understand, desires a personal relationship with each of us. That relationship is defined by Torah, which was not given to the Jewish people en masse, but rather given to each Jewish person. Another midrash describing the moment of giving of Torah at Sinai, a moment we will celebrate this Sunday evening as we welcome the festival of Shavuot, describes how every Jewish soul was there, past, present, and future. You and me, We were there, each one of us hearing Torah, each one of us receiving what we were capable of hearing. Some, we are told, heard whole books of the Torah, some chapters, some sentences, some words, some only a single letter. So let me ask you, do you know what you heard? Do you know what you received as you stood at Sinai? That is a question that fascinated Rabbi Isaac Meir Rothenberg Alter. Rabbi Isaac was the founder of a Hasidic dynasty in the small Polish town of Ger. What particularly fascinated Rabbi Isaac Meir was the fact that this week's detailed census and detailed description of the positioning of the tribes always comes on the Shabbat before the observance of Shavuot. Rabbi Isaac Meir wondered about this connection between this detailed description of the census and positioning of the Israelites and the festival celebrating the receiving of Torah. What is the connection between these two things? And he concluded that in order to be counted among those receiving Torah, one must be standing in the appropriate place. One must be standing where they are supposed to be. That is to say, he taught, we cannot receive Torah when we are trying to be someone we are not. The Rebbe teaches that self-identity confusion often happens because there are so many outside influences telling us who we should be, who urge us to somehow be someone else. While often well-meaning, ultimately these voices are simply not useful. Receiving Torah begins with being honest with ourselves about who we uniquely are and accepting where we uniquely and authentically stand. This is the spiritual journey many make during this period of the Omer, these 49 days between Passover and Shavuot, taking a personal accounting of who we are and where we stand in order to be prepared to receive Torah on Shavuot, this Sunday evening. This all matters. Well, it matters because each of us matter. Our individual place in the community, our particular understanding of Torah, our unique relationship with God matters. In his commentary on this week's portion, Rabbi Shai Held encourages us to ask, how can I, with my unique gifts and talents and passions, best serve God? We must answer not as human beings in general, but as human beings in all our wonderful and beautiful particularity. When we are able to look deep within and find there the source of our individuality, when we can acknowledge our unique place and position in the community, recognizing the particular blessings residing within us, we can receive our Torah. The focus on this personal journey defined the particularly intense, inwardly directed brand of Hasidic Judaism that Reb Meir, Isaac Meir, taught to his followers, because he believed that to be honestly and genuinely in your particular place was the only way to truly receive the gift of Torah, and therefore the only way to successfully make your journey to the promised land. That is, of course, much easier said than done. It is a most challenging journey, truly the journey of a lifetime, which is why we cycle back year after year to these portions and why we celebrate our festivals annually rather than, once in a lifetime. There is a teaching that connects the counting of the 603,550 in this week's census with the total number of letters in the Torah. The teaching is meant to emphasize the discrete and unique role of each of us as individuals. That is to say, if one letter of the Torah is missing, as we know, it's not a kosher scroll. the Torah is not complete. So too, without each individual taking their rightful and unique place, it's not a kosher community. We are incomplete. As we prepare to celebrate Shavuot this Sunday Eve and Monday, rejoicing once again in the giving and receiving of Torah, I pray that we take advantage of this moment to move just a bit closer to our assigned place around the tent of meeting, that having each received our own personal revelation of Torah, we might journey together as community, as a community of unique individuals, each stamped in the image of God, from the mountain of revelation towards the sweetness and possibilities that await us in the promised land. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. I mentioned the counting of the Omer that happens in that period between our exodus from Egypt and the receiving of Torah at Sinai, a time when we take account each day of, well, our particular place in the world, who we are, where we stand, what we stand for. We remember that each day as we count the Omer, which we are, of course, coming to the end of tomorrow. We say, Hineni Muchan Umizuman L'kayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. And although you are muted, you can join me in this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom Shemona va'arba'im yamim la'omer. Shehem shisha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is the 48th day, which is 6 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. Tomorrow will be our final day of counting the Omer as we come to the end of 7 weeks and prepare to receive Torah on Shavuot. Torah and Shavuot remind us of what these words remind us each week, that it is up to us to decide where we stand, what we stand for, and what we are willing to stand up for. It is all up to us. And so I invite you to join with Cantor Shapiro as we chant the Aleinu. If you would like and are able, I invite you to, at this time, to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We now turn to a moment of remembrance for those we have lost in recent days and for those whose yahrzeit is observed on this Shabbat.
Eli Brode, Lely Cordova, Carolyn Tamar Davidson, Rabbi Morley Feinstein, Len Foreman, Robert Gordon, Marjorie Gould, Louis Lowy, Louis Gerald Miller, Carol Grace Salinas, Norma Joy Siegel, David Wolf, Dorothy Wright. We also remember those whose yortzites occurred during this past week, the anniversaries of their deaths. James Leo Barbanel, Grace Barkin, Evelyn Becker, William Barrelson, Lillian Berman, Rose Blatt, Sarah Buch, Ralph Cohen, Lloyd Kotzen, Musa David, Herbert Denitz, Betsy Dreisen, Burton Allen Eisenberg, Mary Epstein, Edith Falk, Anella Feldstein, Charlotte Fenning, Louis Fine, Etta Fisher, Susan Pastor Fishman, Alvin Friedman, Jacqueline Furman, Louis Garr, Marlene Gelt, Billy Goldberg, Michelle Joy Gomberg, Evelyn Gordon, Jules Green, Tony Greenberg, Alberto Grimberg, Marvin Gussman, Ben Habibi, John Heald, Werner Heineman, Magda Hoffman, Itamar Ilya, Clarence Jacobson, Paul Jaspin, Alberta Shield Kalish, Theodore Kapnick Jr., Jess Katz, Louis King, Joy Koppelson, Rose Krantz, Jack Crevoy, Harold Lederer, Milton Liebhaber, Philip Mann, Harry Mankoff, Jack Morris, Alan Moskowitz, Murray Edward Moss, Philip Nalabatsky, Stella Nayberger, Larry Nix, Leah Pazel, Rose Reiser, Harris Robinson, Harry Samuel Ralston, Sam Rosen, Frida Rosenberg, Larry Rosenblum, Solomon Rossman, Helen Rao, Joseph Rudin, Leonid Rudyak, Eva Schenk, Robert Schlossberg, Benjamin Schwartz, Caroline Schwartz, Meyer Schwartz, Pearl Siegel, Pamela Schulman, Morris Siegel, Robert Siegel, Jerry Sinclair, William Troy, Sam Tucker, Rose Vitoff, David Walder, Tom Wallach, Mark Weissman, Sarah Wharton, Leah Wurzel. We also remember those who gave their lives defending the United States of America and the state of Israel, those who have died in the terrible violence in Israel and around the world, those who have died from terrorism, illness, and those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. We take them all as our own. You may rise now if you would like.
Our loved ones, we say Zichronam Livracha. May the memories of all those lost be always for blessing. As we join together, Yitgadal Vit Kadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chirutei V'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon Uvyomechon Uv'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uvizman Kari V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mavarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya, Vit Barach Vish Tabach Vit Pa'ar Vit Romam Vit Naseh, Vit Hadar Vit Ale Vit Halal Shmei Dekutsha Brichu. Le'elamin Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tush Bechata V'Nechamata, Da'amiran Be'alma V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shamaya, V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us. As we say, amen. We turn now from the sanctification of the lives of those whose shoulders we stand upon to the sanctification of this most sacred day as we join together in Kiddush. If you have a Kiddush cup, I invite you to lift it now as we join with Kayla in reciting Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon, hinechaltanu, hikarom lema'aseh bereshit. Yibu yom tefillah lemikra kodesh, lecher letziyat Mitzrayim, kilanu v'charta le'otanu kidusha, kol hamim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon, Eltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Shabbat shalom. And Kayla, I see there at the bottom of the screen, challah. That challah reminds us of all of the blessings that we share, the blessings you have certainly shared with us tonight as you have beautifully helped to lead us in worship with your beautiful voice and beautiful spirit. So, oh wow, cantors, look at that challah. Oh, wow. So Kayla, would you like to lead us in Motzi?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom. All right. You and Susan gonna like eat that whole thing by yourself?
No one has to know.
Would you like to tell us about our closing song?
So with everything going on in Israel, I'm thinking about dear friends who are spread throughout the land of Israel. And we wanted to close with this song, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. We also wanted to add a little bit of recognition of all the different peoples who inhabit the land of Israel. And while we meditate on the beauty of the golden city of Jerusalem, that gold that is reflected when the sunlight hits that Jerusalem stone. If you haven't been there, it's like nothing you can imagine. And I hope for you all, if you haven't been there, that you'll have a chance to visit. So with that, we wanted to bring a sense of shalom, salam, to this song as well. So we're combining two melodies that you probably know both of them very well. So while I can't ask you to join along with me by unmuting yourselves, please stay muted, but please, I would love to see you singing along with me if you know this melody at home. Im kol
Thank you, Cantor. I think that was just what we all needed, actually. So beautiful. So beautiful. Wow. Well, look at all we have going on. Actually, I don't even think it all fits on one slide, actually. I think we have more than more slides. You can sort of see all the things that are happening. I'll just let you sort of make your way through them here. All the stuff happening this Shabbat, including the bat mitzvah of one Kayla Ring. Tomorrow, we're so looking forward to being with you and celebrating with you tomorrow in person. Can't wait for that. And we hope that you will join in with the many, many things that are happening over the course of the week in our community. There we go. There's next Friday as well. So we look forward to seeing you at many of those things. We want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, especially Kayla. Wish you a Shabbat Shalom, that it's a very special, beautiful Shabbat for you. You're welcome. And we're going to let everybody unmute themselves and wish each other Shabbat Shalom and wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom to all.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
magnificent voice.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Enjoy